Let's do this. To start, let's just do introductions. And some of you guys seem to know each other, maybe some not, but introduce your name, what school you're at, and something that you like to do besides play Fortnite or anything on your cell phone. Nothing on the cell phone. Anything that you do outside of the cell phone. Okay. My name's Eli Quo, and I am the person who's going to teach this class. I've been teaching kids like you guys for about 20 years, and I've taught tons of young ones like you have gone on to great high schools like Lowell and some private high schools here in San Francisco. Outside of my cell phone, I like to snowboard. I like to play guitar. I like to what else? I said snowboard, play guitar. I like to sing. So those are three things that I do without a cell phone. So I'm going to start over here, and I want you to introduce yourself and tell me your name, what school you're at, and something you do besides use a cell phone. Okay. Is this another? Are you Andrew? Yeah. Okay, we're starting. And then your name is Jalen. You can take a seat there. Andrew, you take a seat over there. Okay, we're starting. Okay. Okay, so Ada, you want to take a seat. Okay, grab a seat, Andrew. Okay, grab a seat. Ada, sorry to interrupt you. I want you to tell us where you go to school and something you do outside of using your cell phone or the internet. Okay, go. She plays soccer. Ada plays soccer. Okay, we're gonna go right next to Ada. What is your name? You can and tell us what school you go to and something you do besides use the internet or cell phone. She does track. Okay, guys, let's keep the conversations down. I want you guys are gonna have to recite every name. Okay. All right. So go over here.
I'm Ava. I go to Presidio. I do track. I like playing flute, and I like playing soccer.
All right. 3 things besides the internet. I like that. Okay. Go ahead.
I'm Stella. I go to Presidio, and I play soccer.
She plays soccer. Okay. Wonderful. Go ahead.
My name is Amelia. I go to AP, and I like to eat.
Eat. That is good. That definitely is. All right. Go ahead.
My name is Kian. I also go to Presidio, and I like to play baseball.
Baseball. Okay.
I go to Presidio. I like to draw.
You like to draw. Okay. Go ahead. Watch movies. Doesn't count if it's on Netflix. You watch your movies in theaters. Yeah, you're just saying that because I'm asking you. Okay, over here. Introduce yourself.
I go to Presidio, and I like to draw.
Likes to draw. Kai
My
draws.
name is Hero. I go to Presidio, and I like to walk.
He likes to walk in the rain.
Yeah.
Hero. Okay. Go ahead.
My name is Haley, and I go to AP Giannini, and I like to play softball.
She plays softball. All right.
My name is Rocco. I go to AP Giannini, and I like to play baseball.
He plays baseball. I am very glad to see that all of you guys have a life besides the cell phone. Okay, just for a show of hands, how many of you guys play Fortnite? How many people are on Instagram? What are the other apps that are favorite apps? What are your all's favorite apps? What was that one there?
Oh yeah.
Twitch.
I said.
Oh, I thought you said something. I was like, I didn't. YouTube?
Twitch.
Twitch? Okay. These guys are really on the. But I'm glad to see that you guys have a life outside of the internet. What I want to do today is we're going to introduce SBAC. We're going to talk about it real quick. There's a lot of things that you should be aware of. What I've given you guys is this notebook, which is for you guys to use throughout the class. Okay. And you can open it up. Go ahead and open it up. And this is for you to write on, okay? You're not saving it for somebody else, it's yours. Bring it to every class because this notebook is useful for everything. So some of these things are just frequently asked questions, but we'll talk about them. The SBAC, how many of you guys knew what this actually stood for? It's called the Smarter Balance Assessment Consortium. And you guys are like, why do they call it that? Why don't they just call it the Lowell test, right? Does anybody know? Right, tell us why. Well, in San Francisco, it's really known as the Lowell test, but this is a test that's used nationwide for students all over the country. So you guys aren't the only ones taking it. It's just like state of Washington, Arizona. I've seen it on tons of other school districts throughout the country. So that's one of those things. There's two components, computer adaptive and performance task. Computer adaptive is a multiple choice part, and then performance task is one where it's not multiple choice, where you're actually writing kind of an essay about how you would respond to certain questions when they give you a scenario. Andrew, let's keep that open. All right. So let's talk about the performance tasks. Have you guys had these types of exercises before? How many of you guys have had this? Not really? Okay. We're still on this page 3 right here. It says a performance task is a portion of the SBAC, the Smarter Balance Assessment, that requires students to answer a set of questions that are centered on common themes or problems. So you're actually going to be writing essays on that part, and you're actually going to answer things that they present to you that are issues. It's not like political issues. It's more like they give you a situation. How do you solve a problem? That's what you're going to do. Are there time limits for these California assessments? Does anybody know about this? Are there time limits?
No.
The answer is no. There are no. They are all untimed. However, there's an estimate as to how long this will take. And typically, for the SBAC, it's a total of 6.5 hours over the course of 2 days. There's the English language arts, and they estimate the computer adaptive multiple choice is about an hour and a half. And the performance task, which I just explained to you, is a 2-hour exercise. So they want you to write a pretty solid essay there. Some of us are like, you know what, I just want to get on a computer, just type away and get it done. You don't want to do that. You want to actually put some quality into your writing on that, okay? The computer adaptive for the math, they estimate that part, multiple choice, is 2 hours. And then there's the performance task, which is 1 hour, okay? They recommend that students take the performance task and the computer adaptive parts on different days. So basically what that means is on the first day, you're going to do all the multiple choice on the computer, both the ELA as well as the math. And the second day, it's going to be performance tasks. So that's typically what it's like. It's more essay writing, both for math and ELA. Okay, we'll turn the page. Everyone turn the page. We're going to just go through this real quick. Will the scores for the online Smarter Balance summative assessments be available within 3 weeks? It says the Smarter Balance summative assessments for language arts, literacy, and mathematics both include both the computer scored components and the hand scored. Those are the performance tasks. Someone's going to read that. And then the data will be available only after students have completed the components. So what they're saying is you're not going to get this for probably a few weeks, but that's after the whole district for San Francisco is done. So they're going to wait until everyone's done, okay? Here's some strategy questions here. Can I skip questions on either the computer adaptive or the performance task? And the answer is no. Okay, so that means that if you're stuck on a math problem, what do you think is the better thing to do?
Guess.
Yes, Rocco said guess. It's better to guess than it is to leave it blank, okay? Because there's no penalties for wrong answers on this test. Okay, that's an important thing to know. So it says items must be answered before moving on to the next one. Students may flag questions for review and then return within the segment. But once you're past that segment, you've got to move on. So it's better to guess than to leave it blank. Okay. There's also something called the pause rule. And the pause rule is that if there's a 20-minute pause, then you will not be able to review or change. So this might be a situation. I hope it's not your situation where you're staring off into space and you're like, dude, I don't really know how to do this. So I'm just gonna like stare. And then 20 minutes passes. You're like, Eli said it's unlimited time, so I'm just gonna stare. Don't do that. Okay. I hope you move on to the, does anybody do that? Good. I didn't think so. I was just kind of portraying worst case scenarios there. Nobody stares off into space. Move on to the next question. Okay, that's your best bet is. Okay, because otherwise it will expire and you won't be able to review it. Okay. Also, once a student has completed a segment, you cannot return to it. Okay. So for this reason, you should review your responses before moving on. Okay. The performance tasks, I kind of talked about this briefly. It's a portion of the test that requires students to write paragraphs in order to answer the set of questions. So that's going to be something that we're going to go over as well. There's also a listening portion on some of this. The way that we're going to do this is I'm going to send you YouTube links for you to listen to the audio portions of it when you do your tests at home. So that's what we're going to do. Because at school, when you take this test, you're going to be sitting in front of a computer. You guys have probably headphones in your computer lab, right? And that's how you'll do that. Okay. So let's look at page 5. You see the chart there, and it says how many questions are on the SBAC. There are a total of 118 multiple choice questions, or I'm sorry, 118 total questions. 9 of them are hand scored. Those are the open essays, open response essays on the performance task, okay? And the performance task has 1 that is hand scored. So, I'm sorry, 9 that are just open-ended, and then 1 that is the hand scored essay. The math has 76 questions. 3 of them are hand scored where you're writing a response to it, okay? This chart is very useful. If you look at this, I want to talk about this for a minute. I kind of wanted to speed through the FAQs because you can read those yourself and they're easy to understand. But I want to talk about scaled scores and percentiles, okay? The school district has you take these tests, and then you look at this box here. It shows you a 95th percentile, which is relatively the higher end of the scores. The highest would be the 99th percentile, but this is what the district presents. And those scores in ELA and math are around 2,700. The lowest scores are about the 5th percentile. Percentile means the percentage of students who you scored higher than. If you're in the 95th percentile, you scored higher than 95% of the students. If you're in the 5th percentile, you scored higher than only 5% of the students. And this is statistics from nationwide, okay? Because you can see the number of students, it's 818,000. So the different districts throughout the entire country. If you can see this, the one thing I want you to note here is from the 5th percentile all the way up to the 95th percentile, when you look at the scaled scores, is there much of a difference? Okay, give me your name once again. It's
Azalea.
Azalea. Tell me why you don't think there's a big difference in the 5th percentile all the way to the 95th percentile.
Because it's just going up by 200 points.
200 points?
Yeah, sort of.
A little bit more than 200. It goes from 2,000, like ELA goes from 2,380 all the way up to 2,700. So that's about 400 or less, 320 some 21 points if I was to accurately guess that. But you're right, Azalea. It's not a lot of points, right? So it tells us that you're not going to run home and go, Mom, I got 2,000. Okay, 2,000 is not very good right here, right? It's not even the 5th percentile. Everything here is in the 2,000s, right? So you obviously are trying to aim for as high of a percentile as possible. And that's really important. And I'm going to show you more about that on the next page. Any questions about percentiles? Does everyone understand what I mean by there's not much of a range here from 2007? I want you to look at this on the next 2 pages. This is admissions to Lowell. For you guys, you're here because you want to get into Lowell. How many of you guys have seen these stats before about Lowell? How many? Okay. You guys know that Lowell is a very competitive school to get into, right? So these stats are from the school district, and they tell us about Band 1, Band 2, Band 3. Lowell accepts about 725 students for Band 1. That's about 70% of the freshman class. And that is based solely on your grades and this test, the SBAC. Okay? So if that's when you're looking at page 6, that's where I'm at. Everyone should be on page 6 here. It talks about this. And it says Band 1 is based on grades and scores. That's basically what they're saying, either SBAC or the Lowell test. But the Lowell test in January is for private school students. You guys are all public, so it's different. Okay? After the first 70%, Lowell accepts another 15% for Band 2, and that is based on grades. It is also based on scores and activities. So that represents 15%. So you were covering 85% already of the admission to Lowell. The last 15% is reserved for students of underrepresented schools. This list at the bottom of this page 6 is none of your schools. These are private schools, or they are schools that are underrepresented. Most of you guys are Presidio and APG and any. I don't know if we heard any other school besides those two, right? Presidio and AP, right? That's pretty much what I heard. They are not on this list. If you look at most of these are private, some are Catholic. There's only 1 or 2 public middle schools, like the KIPP school is a charter school, Marina Middle School, Willie Brown. So this doesn't even represent you guys. So this is what I'm telling you. The reason why I'm telling you this is you guys don't fall into the final 15%. So you're really competing for the first 85% of the admissions to Lowell. Does that make sense what I'm saying here? So we're actually competing for just 85% of it, because the final 15 is not even offered to you. Okay, am I scaring you yet? No? Good. So your parents have already scared. Okay. So, okay, let's continue here. On the page on the right, page 7, I want to talk about this for a minute. This is really important. This is how they calculate your qualifications to get into Lowell. If you look at Band 1, the maximum score a person can get is 89. Okay, you guys see on page 6 up here, it says maximum possible score is 89. That is the combination of GPA and scores. And what I want to explain to you is that if you have a 4.0, you get a 4 for every A, 3 for every B, et cetera, et cetera. Most of the applicants who get into Lowell have 80, the cutoff score was 88. Okay, I'm talking about page 6, and I'm referring to 6 and 7, going back. That means, this is what I'm going to tell you what that means. Basically, every applicant was a straight A student. Okay, because if someone's like, oh, dude, I really didn't do so hot in PE, and I got like a C in PE, okay? That might not be so helpful to you, because pretty much people are adding this up, and they're getting 16 for their first semester of 7th grade, 16 points for the second semester of 7th grade, and then the first semester of 8th grade is worth 32. It's worth double. Yes?
What if you had trimesters in school?
They'll probably figure that out. I'm not sure how they're just showing semester here, but they have a formula to convert it. Is that what you guys have at your school? Trimesters? Okay. Just don't get a C in PE. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So back to this for a second. What we've been talking about is the SBAC, and you guys are probably wondering how much is that worth? Well, the maximum scores you can get on SBAC, if you got the highest possible scores, if you look at this chart, the very top says Math SBAC. Look at your page there. Math SBAC, English Language Arts. If you're the very first score and the range goes from 2693 to 2,778, you've got to score pretty darn high. on that. That's in the 90-something percentile, okay? And then on the other part, which is ELA, it needs to be 2,693 to 2,745. If you go back on that previous page, that box that I showed you, with the SBAC scores, 2693 in math. Let me just turn this page real quick. 2693 is probably in the 90th percentile based on this chart on page 5. And then a math score of 2693, if you go back there, is also above the 90th percentile. Okay, so we got to do really well on this test if we want to get 12.5 points for both the English language arts and for the math. Okay, I'm focusing on this because most of you guys are either going to be band 1, band 2. And on page 6, it tells you the cutoff. The cutoff for band 1 is 88. You can do your own math and figure out what your GPA will come out to be, and also what that would represent. How many of you guys are understanding this? This makes sense, right? It all makes sense. So Lowell is very challenging to get into. That's what I'm trying to tell you here. I'm not trying to scare you guys, but I'm trying to say that we want to take this class very seriously, right? Because your parents have invested in this, and they want you to put every effort into it. Are we all on the same page?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get into math now. Okay, everyone has a pencil. This is where we start writing stuff and talking about things here. So we should be ready to talk about this stuff here. So this is pretty easy stuff. I want you guys to fill in. We're looking at page 8 where it says SBAC mathematics. Okay. So for this, it says SBA mathematics section consists of 76 questions in 2 sections. Okay, so I want you to write 76 questions in 2 sections. What are the 2 sections? Yes?
Performance test and computer.
Excellent. That's correct. Performance task and computer adaptive tests. Performance task and computer adaptive tests. So who can answer this next part right here? Students will have blank to complete the test. Let's hear from new voices here. Who wants to answer that? Students will have blank to complete the test. What do you think, Hero?
Time,
How much time?
limited.
Unlimited. Someone was listening. Unlimited time. Andrew was going back there looking for unlimited. You find out how many minutes? It's okay. I'm just kidding. It's unlimited time. Okay, so but we know from what we talked about a few minutes ago, we're not going to sit there for 20 minutes staring off into space, because what happens?
They'll it won't let you go back, right?
Right, it won't let you go back. It'll consider that you're done. That's what it'll do, and it'll shut that down. So there are a few different types of questions, and I want you to write this in here. And this is talking about the types of math in the section. I'm going to read this off to you. These are the types of things you guys have been covering. So we'll write one for each line. There are ratios and proportions. Okay, 13 questions on that test. Okay, there are 13. Then there's number systems on the next line. Okay, and there's 14 of those questions. Okay. The next one is dealing with expressions and equations. And there are 15 questions dealing with expressions and equations. The next is called geometry. You guys know what that is. And there are 13 questions for that. You guys need me to repeat any of these?
The first one, what was it?
The first one was ratios and proportions. And there are 13 questions for ratios and proportions. Okay. Then after ratios, number systems. The third one was expressions and equations. Fourth one is geometry. The next one after geometry is statistics and probability. Okay, that's dealing with everything from averages, means, medians, and also probability, the likelihood that something would happen. They will possibly have questions that deal with histograms. Have you guys learned that stuff? Some people may have learned that. Okay, that's okay. And then the last math category is the performance task.
Problems is
Oh, statistics. Statistics is 15. You can write another one. The last one is performance task. There's 6. Oh, no, just statistics. I was just giving you examples of statistics and probability. That's one category. And there's 15 questions in statistics and probability. And the last one is the performance task, and there's 6 questions on that. Question?
There's no line for the performance.
You just write that as an additional one, because these sections here were the multiple choice, and the performance task is separate of it. Okay. 6. Okay. Let's move from all these logistical things and background. Let's get back into real math, things that you have been doing at school. So I want to talk about page 9 for a second here. We're on divisibility. Who knows the rules of divisibility? Have you guys ever heard of rules of divisibility? You have. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to write this up here. And let's do this. This is going to be rule. And this is going to be the number 324. Actually, don't even need that many columns, so I'll erase. So with the number 2, is there a rule on whether something is divisible by 2? This should be easy. Give me your name once again. Caitlin. Okay.
The last number is even.
Last number is even. That's right. I want you guys to write that in your notebook there. The last number is even. So, Caitlin, is 324 divisible by 2? Yes, it is. So let's write yes here. Let's go to the next one for 3. Who knows the rule for 3? Anybody here? Caitlin's going to tell us. Okay, tell us what it is.
You have all the numbers and the number, and then you just divisible by 2. Then the numbers.
Correct. Sorry about the sneeze. I'm going to repeat what Caitlin just said. She said you add up the digits. I'm going to be specific. You add up the digits in a number, and the sum needs to be divisible by 3. So I'm going to write this up here. Is 324 divisible by 3? Because you add them up. 3 plus 2 plus 4. So that's 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. So the answer is yes. It's 3 plus 2. And when we say divisible, we mean with no remainder. That's what we're saying. Okay, very good. Let's talk about the rule for 4. Who knows the rule for 4? Everyone stares over there to Caitlin. But let's hear new voices. New voices. Does anybody here on this side of the room know the rule for 4? Yes. That is correct. The last 2 numbers, the last 2 digits represent a number that is divisible by 4. So let's put this in. $24 is divisible by 4, correct?
Yes.
It's equal to 6. So this is a yes. Does everyone see how this rule works? So we're looking at just the last 2 digits of it. Okay. Who knows the rule for 5? I think this one's easy. Go ahead, Andrew.
last digit is either 0 or 5.
Last digit is 0 or 5. That's correct. Okay. Good. And yes or no, Andrew?
No.
This is a no. Good. Good. So let's move on from 5 and talk about 6, 9, and 10. Everyone has this written down, right? We're going to move on to that. Who knows the rule for 6? For 6. Anybody know? Kaylin, you know this one? What is it? Or the number is divisible by both 2 and 3. That's correct. So we already answered this one, right? Earlier, we kind of looked at 324. So is it divisible by 6?
Yes.
That's funny. He gave me kind of like a yee. I was not sure. That's a yes.
Yes.
You know what that looks like? It looks like this. Yes. No. Yes. I'm kidding. All right. That's when people are not sure. Whereas, no, yeah. No, yes. Okay. Okay, let's continue. How about the rule for 9? Who knows the rule for 9 here? It would be, but it isn't, because 12 is divisible by 3, and it doesn't work. So is 6. 6 is not divisible by 9. Any idea?
Not really.
Not really. Caitlin? It's all you.
I don't remember, but maybe is it like the same as 3?
It's very similar to 3. You add up the digits, and if the sum of the digits is divisible by 9, then the answer is yes. So it's the same thing. Three plus 2 plus 4 equals what?
9.
It equals 9. Thank you. So it equals 9. 9 divided by 9. This is 1, so this is a yes. You guys see that?
Yeah.
So that gives us that one there. And then the rule for 10. I think you guys should know this one. Andrew?
Ends with a 0.
Ends with a 0. And so 324 is obviously a
Yes.
no. Yes?
No.
No. It's a no. It's a no. Not a yes.
I was playing with you
I'm
saying
kidding.
no.
I'm just playing. All right. Everybody's cool with that, right?
Yeah.
This is some fundamental stuff. This is what I want you guys to do. Let's actually do it out loud. Let's see how you guys do here. I'm gonna start over here. Give me your name right next to Hero. What is your name again? Kai. All right, Kai. I want you to read the first question and answer that for us. On page 10. Page 10.
What is the 10th digit of 1,245? It's 4.
The 10th digit is 4. Correct. Okay, good. All right. Hero, read the question. Is that a dab or is that a cough? Both of you.
That's a cough.
Is that a dab?
It's a cough.
Okay. All right. Continue. Hero, I thought you were dabbing for a second, so I just called it out. Okay.
Arrange in order of least to greatest. We're supposed to arrange. Negative 17, negative 3, 0, 2, 3.5.
That is correct. That's the right order there. Okay, we're starting a trend. Let's continue here. Haley, right?
Mhm.
Haley, you want to read the next one for us?
What is the remainder when 37 is divided by 8?
Okay.
Can I do
Yeah, do it on paper. Go ahead, write it. It's there for you to write on. I'm going to let her answer this.
the remainder is 5?
The remainder is 5. That's was correct on that. Good. All right, good. Rocco, I want you to read number 4 for us.
Which of the following is not even? Like,
Which number is not even? That's what they're asking
okay.
you right there.
So 436. Oh yeah, 330 is not even, and 861 is not even.
330 is not even?
I mean,
330 is even because it
okay.
ends with 0.
Oh,
0 is an even number. So our final answer is D here, 761. Okay. Good, good. Let's go on to this row over here. We're looking at yes. We're going to give me your name again. Adam. That's right, Adam. You came early. That's right, Adam. Can you read number 5 for us and tell us what you would do, Adam?
12 minus 6 divided by 2 plus 7.
Yeah.
I would first divide 6 divided by 2 because PEMDAS requires you to go from parentheses to
I like what Adam's saying here.
parentheses to exponents to multiplication to division and addition and subtraction.
Right, we're following PEMDAS, parentheses, exponent, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. What are you going to do first, Adam?
6 divided by 2, which is 3.
See.
And then I would do 12 minus 3.
And you get?
12 minus 3 is 9. And then plus 7, which equals 16.
Good. Good job there, Adam. One thing I want to point out, he referred to PEMDAS, which is excellent. And the second thing is this. You guys are at a point in math. A lot of you guys are doing algebra now, right? Or pre-algebra, right? Pre-algebra. And the thing about it is, when you start to do the pre-algebra, math doesn't necessarily go left to right. PEMDAS becomes the rule, the order of operations. So I'm glad you pointed that out. Okay, Andrew, can you do the next one, number 6?
9 times 8 plus 54 divided by 9. Just how I did it.
Yeah, walk us through that. I didn't even get to write it on there for everybody else, but 9 times 8. And then it says plus 54 divided by 9.
Okay, I used PEMDAS. So there was one multiplication and one division. So I first did those two, which is 9 times 8, 72 plus 54 divided by 9, which is, well, first 54 divided by 9 is 6. So 72 plus 6, 78.
That's right. Okay, so Andrew led us through that. Even though the plus is in the middle, we do it after the multiplication and division. So following the rules of PEMDAS. At this point in math, you're seeing that it's not necessarily left to right. It's not that anymore. It's PEMDAS. Okay, good. Let's go with the next one. Give me your, it's Keon. Okay, Keon, you want to tell us what you would do for this one? This is an interesting.
So I think I kind of forget what prime numbers and the other one.
Okay, let's help Keon.
I think.
Okay, tell us what.
Isn't a prime number? It can't be divided by any other number except itself and 1.
That's right. A prime number is divisible only by itself and 1. So it's only 2 separate numbers. So we're looking at the list and which ones are prime now.
13, 51, 59.
So he said 13. Does everyone agree 13 is prime?
Yeah.
Okay, that's prime. All right. The next one he said was 51. Does everyone agree? Andrew says no. Tell us why. 17 or 3. Caitlin, do you remember the rule for 3? Do you guys see this here? What's the rule, Caitlin?
You add all of these figures and this
5 plus 1 equals 6. 6 is divisible by 3, not prime. Okay. All right, 59. What do we think? Keon, did you think this was prime? Okay. What do we think here? Does everyone agree? This is what I want you to do here for this question here is use that divisibility chart that we have, because that's what's going to help you define your primes. Those rules of divisibility, the first thing you do on that rules of divisibility is ask yourself, is it even? Because if it's even, all of the evens cannot go into it. Okay, if it's odd, none of the evens can go into it. If it's not even, okay? So if it's an odd number, all of the even numbers are gone. Then you use your rule of adding the digits because you're going to knock out 3 and 9. And if you knock out 3 and 9, you've only got 5 and 10, or 5 really. And then that helps you to figure out if something's prime. So this is prime. What about 119? What do we think about 119? Use the rules of divisibility. Use the rules of divisibility. Adam is saying yes. Let's do the rules here. 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10. 119, even or odd? Odd. So let's knock out every even number here. They're just gone just like that, okay? Because even numbers can only go into even numbers, okay?
It would be 11, which is not.
1 plus 1 plus
Like 3, 9, 9. And then it's also there's no 5 or 0, so 5 would be 11.
right. So we did a good job. Adam did a great job here. Let's give it a little hand. Okay. Oh, that's good. Okay, so all right. Good job there. There's one thing missing here that's tricky. It's 7. 7 doesn't have a rule that is easy to do. So if you've gone through all of the rules for 2 through 10 that we talked about a moment ago, try 7. So everyone divide 119 by 7. Did you do it? So it goes in 1, 7, 49. Oh, on first glance, Andrew was like, nah, it doesn't. But then when he actually put pen to paper, he was like, oh, 7 times 17. So this is not a prime number, okay? Because 7 and 17 both go into it. Okay? So that helps us. Our final numbers, of course, 8 is not prime. It's 13 and 59, right? So that's our answer for that. Good job, everyone. Okay. So let's go to the next one. This is number 8, and give me your name right next to Cam. Azalea. Okay, Azalea. You want to read that for us and tell us what you would do?
In the figure above, P3 equals 16, QS equals 11, PS equals 20. What is the length of QR? Okay, the total length is 20. So, and if QS is 11, 20 minus 11 is 9.
So the whole thing is 20, and we know that QS is 11.
Yeah.
So this is 11. So you subtracted, you got 9. Where do you put the 9?
It's PQ.
PQ is 9. Okay, that's good.
And then, Q. Yeah, I'm not sure where to go.
Azalea did a pretty good job here. We're just looking for QR. Can we find QR based on this? Adam? This is what we're looking for.
No, you need PR, which digit, which is 16. And then you subtract 20 minus 16 or equal 4. And then.
Let me just put that. PR is 16. So 16, and then.
So that means, yeah.
16 minus.
16 minus,
You're on the right track.
20 minus 16.
You could do that, or you want to do 20 minus 16. Okay, 20 minus 16.
4.
So where do you put this 4?
So then it would be R. No.
RS.
Yeah, R.
RS is 4. Can you find QR now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And at the bottom and then subtract that by 20, which is 7.
So 20 minus 13 equals 7. The answer is right, 7. There are other ways of doing it, and you probably could have combined some information, but that's good enough. What Adam did was he found the answer, and the answer is 7 on that one. So good. All right. Let's go to the next one here. This is talking about Beatrice. Give me your name once again.
Stella?
Stella, that's right. Okay, so Stella, go ahead, number 9.
Beatrice spent $67 on a skirt and a blouse. If the blouse costs $29, how much did the skirt cost?
Okay. What would you do here?
The total cost, which is 67, and then you subtract the blouse price, which is 29. And then
Straight subtraction.
37.
38 is correct. It is 38. This is 38. I encourage people to do the writing, to write your math out. A lot of us do it in our heads, and what happens is we're off by 1 or off by something. The problem is that when you have answers that are right next to each other, they might give you 36, 37, 38, 39, and it will circle the wrong answer because we're off by a little bit, right? So we don't want to do that. Okay. So go ahead and solve. And next to Stella, give me your name once again.
Ava?
Ava. Okay. Can you read that next one? Okay.
Franklin and his little brother Kevin saved $143.75 together to buy a computer game. If Kevin saved $68.30, how much did Franklin save? I would subtract $143.75 and 68.
Okay, so go ahead and write that out. 143 and 75, 68 and 30. I wouldn't want to do decimals in my head. That would not be fun. That's kind of not fun to do. Let's wait for.
30.
Well, yeah, you can do that, but the whole thing, you know, for the decimal point. What did you get the answer, Kian?
Well, I didn't bother doing it.
Why don't you finish it? Okay, finish it. Who has it? Azalea.
75.45.
75.45. Azalea, did you write it out? Yes. I'm going to tell you guys a funny story. There's a lot of you guys, well, all of you guys have grown up in what I call the point and click generation. Everything is a click away, everything's a point, a tap, or swipe, or whatever. And so a lot of times people don't take notes. And the problem with that is that our accuracy might be off when we don't write things down. There was one student I had, and he loved to not write anything down. He would just try to do all his calculations in his head. And as the calculations got harder, you could tell, because this is what he would look like. He would go like this. And his head would bob, right? His name was Bob also. But it would get, it would get harder, and it would go like this. Right? And then it would get really hard, and he'd be like really, I'm like, Bob, just write it down. Okay. Do you want to do that? I don't know. I heard the only other way you could do this is you go to Best Buy and you get this chip and you install it in the back of your head, and it's a calculator. Have you guys heard about that?
No.
It doesn't exist. Okay, it doesn't exist. Okay, I'm just making a funny, facetious thing. It doesn't exist. There's no calculator you can install in the back of your head, so you can't do that. Otherwise, you can be like Bob. I'm a little dizzy from doing that Bob impersonation now. That was pretty tough. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so let's do a little discussion here about math. What is the definition of digit? What is digit?
It's a number.
A digit is a number and a place value.
It is a place value.
Certain place
Correct. It's a place value. Both Andrew and Kian were saying place value. What numbers can go into that place value?
Whatever that place value. I don't know.
So this is what I want you to write down here. A place value represented by 0 to 9. A place value represented by 0 to 9. And I'm making a big emphasis about this because a lot of people take it for granted. They're like, yeah, digit, number, it's all same. But these tests like to be very specific. They might be saying the tens digit, the thousandths digit, which is a decimal place, right? But the only numbers that go in there are 0 through 9. The reason why I'm emphasizing this is a lot of students think 1 to 9, and they forget about 0. And so 0 feels lonely and go, what about me? But 0 is a digit, okay? So that's important. What's the definition of integer?
A number,
Negative,
positive or negative.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's it? I think we're missing something, and something that I just mentioned, 0. So the definition is natural numbers, including positive, negative, or 0. Natural numbers. Natural is not like, dude, I love organic. Organic is like the best food. We're not talking. Natural numbers means whole numbers, including the negatives and the positives. That's what that means. Okay. Some of these words you hear it in class, you're like, what is the teacher talking about? Natural numbers? Is that like holistic, organic? Do you get it at Trader Joe's or no? You don't. Okay. Yes, Hero.
No decimals and no fractions.
Correct. No decimals, no fractions. When these math problems say integer, they are screaming no decimals, no fractions. Thank you, Hero. That's really what they're implying, but they're not saying that. They're never going to say, by the way, everyone, no decimals and no fractions. They're not going to tell you that. So I'm glad Hero said that. Yes.
What if your fraction is 9 over 9?
Well, that's a whole number. That's a whole number.
It's the same, it's equivalent to the same.
But what they mean, yeah, I know what you're saying.
They
Technically,
would
that is,
write 9 out of 9.
but they're saying fractions that do not represent a whole number. Like that. Okay, what's positive? Let's hear from someone we have. Haley, what's positive?
It's a number above 0.
Number above 0, right? Rocco, what's negative?
A number below 0.
Number below 0. Those are pretty obvious here. Okay, what's the definition of consecutive? How do we know if a list of numbers is consecutive? After another number.
Is it like if it
let me
keeps
write a list
going
of
on?
numbers.
Be a list of consecutive numbers. A list of
Let me write these up. Is this consecutive?
integers, yes.
Consecutive numbers. Okay, how about
They
this?
could be going backwards.
Consecutive, yes or no?
Yes.
Isn't it like if it's like,
Okay, we're getting good ideas here. Pattern. That's good from both of these fellows here.
isn't it like in order? If I do the least, if there's like just
It can go increasing or decreasing pattern. So
It goes up or down.
let me give you guys one other example. Let's see if we can define this better. Okay. Is that consecutive? Azalea says yes.
Yeah, it is.
No,
I hear a lot of yeses over here. Girls on this side, not saying anything. This is not consecutive. Okay, do you know why?
there's no even number.
I'm going to show you why. This is +1, +2, +1, +2, +1. Alternating. This is not a consistent pattern. So the missing element here is that it's an increasing or decreasing consistent. So the question says a list of numbers is consecutive if you have an increasing or decreasing consistent pattern. It cannot alternate. Because this was tricky. I know that some of you guys are like, yes, 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 you just give me another one. This was a no, right? Because it alternated +1, +2, +1, +2. And I'll give you one last one here. Let's see what you guys think.
it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is consecutive multiples of 5, right? It's adding 5, so that's okay. Right, so that brings us to the next thing. Well, what is a multiple?
It's like the multiple of another one.
What's that, Andrew? Okay. Hero, did you have? Did you have a definition?
For multiple, number that, a number that is divisible by something.
Well, kind of. Let's hear from this side. People on this side. It's so quiet over here. Stella?
Number that can go into.
Not exactly. What about over here? Haley, Rocco, Azalea? Yeah. Okay, the better definition of this is the multiple is the result of, or is the result or the product of two factors. Okay?
What is a factor?
Okay, so that's the result. I'm going to give an example up here.
No, it's the numbers that you
2 times 3 equals 6. Okay? Which part is the multiple here? You got it. So this is the multiple.
product.
It's the result. It's the result of two factors. So what is the definition of factor?
Two numbers that.
Anyway, she's the only one who's raised her hand, so I'm going to call on her.
The numbers you multiply to get the multiple.
The numbers you multiply to get the multiple. So yeah, so let's write factor.
So, yeah, can you have it?
So I wrote it like this. Numbers multiplied to produce a multiple. So in this case up here, 2 and 3 are factors. Factors. Okay. The most important thing is it's asking you what's the difference between the two. I want you to write this example here. The difference. That's what I want you to write. You know why? Because a lot of students are like, I'm not going to remember these dictionary definitions and stuff, but you're going to remember the location. You're like, yeah, 2 and 3, they're the parts. And then we know that 6 is the result, right? And you're like, yeah, it's the answer, right? The multiple is the answer. So is that easier to remember that way? Factor times factor equals multiple. You guys agree with me? That's the easy way to remember it, right? So that's what I want to do. Let's move on to prime number. We had this defined earlier when we were talking. What is the definition of prime number? Let's hear it.
And the number that can only be divided by itself and by 1.
Correct. A number that can be only divided by itself and 1. A number that can be divided only by itself and 1. What's the smallest prime number?
1.
No!
0.
No!
3.
2. Okay, the reason why I asked this is because it's a trick question. And these test makers, they're not going to say, what is the smallest prime? They're not going to do that. What they're going to do is they're going to ask you, I'll give an example here. In the number 15, how many prime factors does 15 have? How many prime factors?
1, 2, 3.
He just said 1 is a prime.
So let's
No,
write.
I'm counting like how many
Let's.
numbers.
What are the factors?
Literally saying.
Let's actually hear from the girls. The girls are all quiet here. Let's give me your new. It's Ada, right? No, Ada. What are the factors of 15? What are the factors of 15? Numbers that go into 15. 1. Okay, 15. 3 and 3 and 5. Which numbers are prime here?
3.
Andrew, 1.
No, he just said 1 wasn't a prime number.
I'm just gonna do this.
He said which numbers, but maybe it's not multiple.
Okay, why did I have a jaw-dropping moment?
Because one isn't a prime number,
One-
and you just said that.
I gave a huge no. I said no, right? So 1 is not prime. That's a trick. These kind of tests, what they're gonna do, these tests are gonna say how many primes go into 15, and everyone's gonna go, yeah. No, that is not prime. This is not prime. That's a classic trick question. That's why I'm showing you guys this thing. Is because they're trying to trick us, and they're trying to present something that everyone goes, yeah, 1 is prime. No. So if it helps you, this is what I want you to write on the page. 1 is not prime.
Why not?
And I'll tell you why, because 1 times 1 equals 1. It's not 2 different numbers. It's the same number. That's why.
Oh,
That's why.
okay.
Because if you look at 2 times 1, these are 2 different numbers. 3 times 1, 11 times 1, 2 separate numbers. Do you guys see that?
Yeah.
So the second thing I want you to write in there, besides 1 is not prime, 2 is the smallest prime. 1 is not prime, 2 is the smallest prime. That's important. Okay? So that's why I made that big emphasis of trying to sound all animated. We know what PEMDAS is here, so we're going to move on from this. Okay? Okay, so we're ready to move to the next page. We should be on page 12 here. We got a lot to cover. So let's continue here. It says we're going to do a lot of it. Some of that's homework. So
we have
homework. Oh my God! Let me just say this. The reaction that you guys give me reminds me of a time. Just hear this. I taught a class like this at a Montessori school. You guys know what Montessori schools are now? No homework at those schools. They get no homework. They looked at me.
My cousins go to a school like
They have
that.
no homework. So they looked at me like,
What school was it?
and I'm not gonna say where school is. They looked at me like that, and I said, "What's wrong?" They're like, "We don't get homework." I'm like, "What do you mean you don't get homework?" "We don't receive any homework." And I said, "Well, I'm gonna give you homework." And they're like,
Was it middle school?
"There's a middle school." Yeah.
Are they?
But I'm not gonna tell
Was
you
it
which
public
one.
or private?
Those are all private. They're all private.
Are they all private?
Yeah. But anyways, back to this. Bring it back. Okay. So on this page here, on page 12, this is a classic kind of question. It's just saying, which of the following equals 16? I want you guys to do this and find out which one. I want you to raise your hand. Don't shout out the answer. Don't shout out the answer. I want to give people a chance here.
You already said the answer.
I didn't say the answers here. So just okay, give me your name once again. Ava. Okay, Ava. We got Ava, Ada, right next to each other. Okay, Ava. What is the best? Ava's gonna give us the answer here. Answer is B. Tell us what you did here, Ava. Ava's gonna explain this to us. Okay, let's not have extra stuff. You know why? Because I'm recording this, and the noise from the extra chatter interrupts. So I don't want you guys. This is recorded. Okay. So let's hear Ava. She's the only one who should be talking. That's correct. The answer is 24 minus 8 equals 16. Good. So this is following the rules of PEMDAS. We're going to do the parentheses first, and then after the parentheses, the multiplication, and lastly, the subtraction. That's PEMDAS right there. So answer is definitely 16. That's why I want people to raise their hands rather than shouting out answers. Let's go to number 2 here. Let's hear from this side. The girls on this side I haven't been hearing from. So let's go with Stella. Read number 2 for us.
The whole number x is between 1 and 5. If x is also between 3 and 8, what is the value of x?
Okay. Do you want to try to do this one, Stella, or do you want to open it up for discussion?
C, 4.
Okay, C is correct. Tell us how you got that.
Because 1 and 5, and it says 1 and 5, and then also says 3 and 8, so 1 and 2 are eliminated, and then It can't be, and it can't be 5.5 because, it's 1 and 5 and then,
Well, it cannot be the decimals because it's saying specifically whole numbers. No decimals allowed there. So we have to, when they give us these terms, we want to be familiar. So keep going, Stella.
and then so those decimals are eliminated and then 2 is not in three.
Right. So that's important. The words in between or is between tells us that they're not saying greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. It's saying just greater than. 2, 3, and 4 are okay here, but it's too small for the second one, which is 4, 5, 6, and 7. We can't use 5, 6, and 7. You guys all see that there?
Yeah.
So the key words in this question, Adam's having an oh moment here, is so the key thing here is between as well as whole numbers. So that gives us 4. Good job on that, Stella. Let's go to Ava. You want to do 3 for us?
What is the greatest
Can anyone answer?
If you raise your hand. Okay, Kian.
C.
C is the right answer. Tell us why it's 4.
Because if you convert 33/7 into a mixed number, I just stopped at 4 and just started doing all the.
Right, this is 4 and I believe 5 7.
I know after 28 it's
It's, I think it's 5 7. It's 5 7s. I've done it many times. So it's 5 7s. But what Keon said is basically you're looking for an integer, a whole number less than 4 and 5 sevenths. So the answer is 4, right? Good. Let's go to Ada. Number 4.
because you do 5 times 2 first.
Okay, so she's doing the 5 times 2 first. So this is 64, and then, wait, it's 5 times 2 and 12, okay. Okay, so you did that, what did you get?
I got 10.
So you have 60 minus 4 times 10. What do you do?
And then 60 minus 4 is 56.
Pause. Does anyone know why I paused that one? Haley?
Because the parentheses are next to the 4, which means multiplication.
Yes.
Multiplication comes before.
The subtraction is the last thing you're gonna do. So Haley said multiply, what do you get in the middle now?
40.
It's 40. Now we can go left to right. That's the last thing we're gonna do, right? Adam?
Subtract 60 minus 40, which equals 20 plus 12, which equals 32.
The answer's 32 on that. Correct. Good. Excellent. All right. PEMDAS. That's what we got to remember for that one. Okay. All right. I'm going to turn. Everyone, turn the page. We talked about the definitions earlier: factors, multiples, primes, and consecutive. All of them are going to be involved in this next question. And we spent the time to define those because they're important. I'm going to have Caitlin read this for us, number 9.
What is the prime factor of 28?
Greatest common prime factor.
I learned this in 6th grade.
I honestly thought
Yeah, this child is the worst teacher.
yeah. No, this child was nice.
He's like.
When they say this, what do they mean by greatest common prime?
The biggest number that's a prime number.
Say that again, Andrew?
The biggest number that's a prime number.
And it is
A factor.
it is shared between 2 numbers here.
Okay.
That's what common means. It's shared. This means biggest. Common means shared between the 2 numbers. They have 28 and 42.
So like you do something, remember? You do like things like that.
So it's shared. Let's not have the extra stuff here. prime, we define that, and factor is it's a part. Okay, it's not the result. Okay, I'm not going to write the full definition of primary. We know what it is.
Wait, should we write down the?
If it helps you to do this, I would write it down because a lot of us take it for granted. And we're like greatest common prime factor. We just see it and we're like, I think I've seen it before. What are they really getting at? This is so that you can break them down and digest it, right? How do we find the greatest common prime factor of 28 and 42? Raise your hand, Caitlin. Okay, do you want to do that for us? Okay.
28, 1 and 29. 2, 47. And then for 42, 1 and 42. 2 and 21. 3 and 14. And 6 and 7.
Okay. Which ones are prime here? Do you want to tell us? Just 7?
7, 2, 3.
3, but not common, so I'm just going to put a box there. Okay, so common means shared. So Rocco was asking earlier, should I write this down? Which one is the greatest common prime factor? Yes, Adam.
7.
It's 7, right? This, I like her technique, and I'm going to tell you this. More students are likely to use the tree than the list, but the list is superior. You guys know why the list is superior to the tree? I'm going to do the tree for a second here. I'm going to do this for a second.
I don't know, you just disagree. I don't know, I didn't do it.
It's so loud, bro.
Okay, just a second. I just drew the tree. You guys have done this before, right?
Yeah.
This is the list. And the reason why the list is superior is if this question did not ask for primes and just said, how many factors does 42 have? This tree would not tell you all of the factors, okay? But even if you do the list and you have all these extra numbers, you can go down the list and figure out which ones are prime, 2, 3, and 7, and you're not going to miss anything, okay? So this is what I'm going to tell you. The takeaway from this, yes, the answer is 7. Good job on that. But also there are many methods of breaking down a number. If they're asking for primes, the tree is faster, okay? But the list is good when they are asking for how many factors there are. Because if I ask for all the factors, this doesn't give me all of the factors. Does everyone see that? So that's good. Let's do this to speed this up a little bit because I know we're kind of well, let's see how our time is. Well, we can keep going on this. Let's do number 10 here. I'm going to go back over. Let's go with Rocco here. I haven't heard from you. Let's read number 10 for us.
What is the least common multiple of 18 and 30?
So another familiar phrase, least common multiple. When they say least common multiple, what does that mean? Yes, Keon?
So, it's the least common multiple. So, it's a multiple of, both numbers.
It's
And-
common, shared between
Yeah.
30 and, it's 30 and 18. Okay.
And it's a multiple, and it's the smallest possible multiple.
Smallest. So this means smallest. And multiple meaning it's a result. Not a part, it's a result. Okay? Does that help you guys when I say result? It's an answer. It's not a part.
So multiple is like an answer, right?
Yeah, it's an
Right.
answer. It's not the part. Okay? That's why we want to know these terms really, really well. And how would we do this now? Kiana, what would you do?
Well, you can automatically, cross out 18.
Okay, why?
Smaller than 30.
Well, yeah, 30 doesn't go into it. Correct. So that's out.
So, and then you can cross out 30 because 18 doesn't go into 30. And then there are two numbers left. So you just do, 30 can go into both the last numbers. So you figure out 18. So you do last numbers and you divide them by 18.
That's good. He's using the answers and just going through process of elimination. 30 goes into both of these, but 18 doesn't go into 60. 5 times 18 is 90. So it's a common multiple for both of them. Good. Good answer there. Does everyone see how he got that?
Yeah.
You could have listed them. That's what I was about to do, but that's actually fine with what he did right there. He just went down the list and just said, let's just knock out the answers. Good. Let's go to 11 here. Haley, you want to read that first?
How many prime numbers less than 45 are divisible by 7?
One. It's a tricky question there.
900.
I got
Well, 7 for starters.
It's less than 45 by 7.
And then 6.
wait, all the numbers are like
What?
Let's hear from Kaylin. She raised her hand there. Tell us what you think about this. The answer is 1.
And then 7 is only 1.
That's right. So what she said is the only prime number divisible by 7 is 7. Okay? Because if you look at the multiples of 7, divisible by 7, 7 divided by 7, that's your prime number right there. Everything after that is not prime. Because 14 is not prime, 21 is not prime, 28 is not prime, none of those. Because 7 and another number can go into it. So if it's divisible by more than one number, it's not prime. So the answer is just 1. It's a trick question. Okay. Let's try number 12 here. Let's go with Hero. I haven't heard from you.
Okay, if the largest of 7 consecutive whole numbers is 84, what is the average of the 7 numbers?
Mm-hmm.
Just count.
Okay, let's not talk out loud because it's getting recorded.
I'm gonna comment on the video.
It's just all right. Did anybody get this one? Does anyone have an idea? Keon? C. Tell us why you would choose C.
I just kind of did it in my head.
How'd you do in your head?
So I know the average is going to be the middle number. And then instead of doing all that, like, math I didn't want to do, I know that if you did like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the middle number would be 4. So then I know there's 3 on each side. So then I subtracted 3 from 84. 81. Or you could just write it out.
Okay, the reason why I'm writing it out is this. What Keon did is correct, but only in this situation. Why is it only in this situation? Because what?
Non-number.
Not because it's odd. Let me show you guys. Let me show you why. 1, 2, and 3 billion.
What?
Is the average 2?
No.
That's your middle number.
No.
That's the median.
You're thinking median.
Oh.
Median does
I meant
not.
the middle number.
But that is the middle number.
You arrange them from least to greatest.
This is least to greatest. 1, 2, and 3 billion. Why is the median not the average in this case? Correct. What you said right there is correct. Only if it's consecutive. So I'm making a big deal. You guys go, wow, you're like so emphatic. The point of this is, I just don't want you guys to always use that rule. It is not a rule. And this is a perfect example here. You guys see that? Only when they're consecutive. If the numbers are, these are consecutive, 78, that's why I wrote it out. 78, 79, all the way to 84. The middle number is 81, and the average when they're consecutive. Yes, Adam?
Yeah, if you're both consecutive, how would we solve this?
The average here is this is what 1 billion and 1 billion and 1 is the average. How? Because 3 billion plus 3 is 3 billion and 3 divided by 3, so it's 1 billion and 1. You add it up and divide it by 3. You add them up and divide it by 3. That's how you. So the average is always, I'm going to write this, 3 billion and 3 divided by 3 equals 1 billion. Because you 1 plus 2 plus 3. The reason why I said that to Keon is because adding these numbers would have been painful.
Yes.
Yeah.
This would have been like, oh man. Did anybody start adding these up here? Did you get 576 divided by 7? Or I think it's 567 divided by
Yes, do that in your head.
this 567 divided by 7. I think that's the answer to it.
81. Yeah.
Yeah. You know how I did it, Kian? I went to Best Buy. I got that special calculator in my head, so I can calculate without writing. It's actually on sale. They're having a clearance for the spring. The 2018 version of it, you just install it behind your ear. No one will see it.
Was it 99.99?
It's actually $4.99. But now you can get it for $1.99. I'm kidding. All right. Let's continue.
The cheapest.
All right. So there are no such calculators of that sort. How's everybody doing here? Okay. I want to. Let's continue here on the next page with ratios, proportions, and rates. Give me your name once again next to here. Kai. Okay, Kai, can you read number 9 for us here?
Marble collection consists of 6 red marbles and 9 blue marbles. What is the ratio of red marbles to the total of the total number of marbles in the collection?
So Kai, what would you do next?